Hello, friends. Welcome or welcome back to Get Ready with America. My name is SJ, and today we'll be talking about a voting component that often flies under the radar: ballot curing. This is the process where absentee voters whose ballots would be rejected for whatever reason can fix the problem so their vote is counted. I mentioned it before on the channel when we were waiting for the final New York City vote tally last summer, and part of the holdup was giving voters the opportunity to fix their ballots. Today, we're looking at that process in Texas, where a new law is forcing elections administrators to reject a high volume of ballots with limited resources to help voters cure them. I'll walk through where to check if your ballot is affected, and then options for validating your vote. Today's eye look will be inspired by the Texas state flower, the bluebonnet. Let's get into it. Early last fall, the Texas Legislature passed a law known as SB 1 that set several restrictions on voting accessibility across the state to be implemented before the 2022 primaries. It's quite a packed law, and I've linked it for you nerds who want to learn more. But let's look specifically at the changes to voting by mail, which is Article 4 of 9 in this bill. First, local elections officials are no longer allowed to send vote-by-mail applications to people who do not explicitly request them. This, on the surface, may seem reasonable, but most voters have to fill this out for every single election they want to vote by mail-in, and voters who are over 65 or have a disability that keeps them from going to the polls have to request ballots annually. Sending request forms to people who have voted by mail in the past is a very normal practice. And I guess that lots of people have come to rely on it as part of their life admin routine, so not sending them means people won't know or remember to send in their form and miss an election. Second, the law requires voters to provide an ID number on their request form and on the ballot's carrier envelope, and it has to be the same number the voter used when they registered to vote. This is usually a driver's license number or social security number. The problem is that people don't remember which number they used to register to vote because they registered decades ago, and a higher number of applications than normal have been rejected because people picked the wrong number. For those who did guess the right number, many of them are then missing putting it on the ballot envelope, making their actual vote invalid. People are missing it because it's tucked under a flap on the outer envelope, hidden so people can't openly see your information. Very thoughtful design. Asking for an ID number on the surface, like not sending forms, seems reasonable, but it's really just an added layer to the process that means the state can throw out more votes, especially since everything requires an ink signature, so you have to add postal delays into the equation. It also further complicates the job of the elections offices, expanding the narrative that they're the bad guys who are fudging elections. Just so we're all on the same page that these are the reasons states pass ID laws. All is not completely lost, as the law actually added ways to fix a rejected ballot or cure it. If there's enough time, the county elections office can send back the ballot with a note on what to fix for you to return by the deadline. Unfortunately, There is no longer enough time, as the primary and thus the ballot return deadline is this upcoming Tuesday, March 1st. But there is another option: coming into the office to fix it in person. Of course, there's issues with that as well, starting with notifying someone that their ballot needs to be fixed. There's a portal on the Vote Texas website where folks can check the status of their ballot, but we know not everyone is going to be able to access that. So offices are calling voters, since that is reliably quicker than mailing them a notice, though takes much more time out of the worker's day than firing out a form letter. The other issue with this is that people who don't go to the polls due to a disability obviously can't come to the office because of that disability. Voters can utilize an assistant to handle their form and ballot, but that person needs to sign an oath that was just reworded by Section 5 of 9 of SB 1 to make you really second guess if helping your mom vote is worth potentially going to jail for the slightest perceived infraction. Then, of course, the people who vote by mail because they'll be away may already be away. It's a very bungled system that offices only had about a month to figure out how they'd make it happen before ballots were mailed out. Did you mail in a ballot and now are wondering if there's a problem with your ballot? I'm going to guess that since you're watching this video on some online platform, on some technical device, you can access the tracker portal I mentioned before, which I linked in the description box. Help other folks check theirs while you're at it. If you do need to cure your ballot, call your county elections office to figure out the best way to cure your ballot based on your needs and the time frame that remains. One of the options is to cancel your mail-in ballot so you can vote in person on election day, but you do need to coordinate that with the administrators so your name will be on the rolls of eligible voters at your polling location. I didn't explicitly see this in the law or any articles, but I'm very concerned that even if you fill out a provisional ballot at your polls, that ballot will still get thrown out because you didn't get it cleared and now you're trying to double vote, and that's definitely voter fraud. I also mentioned going into the office to fix whatever the problem is in person prior to election day. Ultimately, each county is going to have a different setup for curing ballots, and I don't know your life to give you a solid recommendation, so call the office to make a plan. I linked a page with the contact info for every county's office in the description box. If you're still holding on to your ballot, I'm glad I caught you. Please lift all of the flaps and read all of the directions. If you're unsure which ID number is attached to your registration, you can try looking up your info on the Vote Texas portal. A suggestion from the Secretary of State's office is to put both your driver's license and social security number just in case. You could also deliver your ballot in person and wait there for them to check it to make sure the correct information is there, but I feel like that defeats the purpose of utilizing a mail-in ballot. Are you in a state other than Texas and now wondering about the status of your mail-in ballot? Well, probably not right now because I'm pretty sure no one else has ballots out. But if you recall from my Vote Miss videos, a lot of states have opened up their vote by mail programs, so anyone is able to request it. All of these states also have online portals where you can track your mail-in ballot. I highly suggest you look up your state's elections website, usually housed in the Secretary of State's department or its own entity, and you will find links to look up all of your voting information and track your ballot. And that's the look. I could go on about all of the systems that go into executing vote by mail and the way Texas administrators were set up to fail for this election. I didn't even get into the whole thing where Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's campaign had supporters send their applications to the wrong place to continue stoking mistrust in the elections process. If you're interested in reading more about the situation in Texas, including that story, I've linked my bibliography for this video in a post on my website, which is linked in the description box if you're watching on YouTube, or in the caption if you're watching on another platform. I've also added the links in my first ever newsletter edition, and you can sign up for that on my website, sjdconsulting.com. I only send emails when I post videos, so I'll be the least intrusive newsletter in your inbox. I can pretty much guarantee that. If you like this kind of video, dissecting an aspect of the election process in the context of an upcoming election, please leave a comment. That's totally what I love doing, and I already have some ideas brewing for future topics. If you want to support these videos, you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube, become a monthly sponsor through Patreon, or send a one-time tip on Buy Me a Coffee, both linked with the other links. Thanks. I'll see you again soon.